On January 26, 2020, a helicopter fell from the sky, and the world lost Kobe Bryant. More than 5 years have passed, and I think we're only just beginning to truly understand what we lost. An Oscar winner, a New York Times best-selling author, a business genius whose investment firm generated returns that dwarfed traditional funds. In just 4 short years after retiring, Kobe's achievements were arguably becoming more legendary than his entire 20-year basketball career. What if we gave Kobe another 20 years? What would have happened? Perhaps we didn't just lose a basketball superstar. Perhaps we lost someone who was on the verge of changing the world. Welcome to Fanko Decodes. I'm Fanko. Today, we're going to step back into Kobe's world and try to find the answer to that very question. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest players in the history of the game. A 20-year NBA career, 5 championships, 18 All-Star appearances, the mythical 81-point game. We all know the accolades. But what few people truly grasp is how the 4 years after his retirement might have been even more legendary. His animated short film, Dear Basketball, won an Academy Award. His children's fantasy series, the Wisenard series, became a New York Times bestseller. The venture capital firm he co-founded saw returns that outperformed established funds by multiples. He became one of the most important and influential advocates for women's sports. More importantly, he was using the Mamba Mentality to redefine what was possible for an athlete after the final whistle. Today, through the true stories of Kobe's life, I want to decode 3 profound questions. 1. What is the true Mamba mentality? It's not what you think. 2. How was Kobe able to achieve elite success in completely different fields? 3. And how can we as ordinary people apply Kobe's wisdom to transform our own lives? This isn't just the biography of a sports icon. This is a masterclass in relentless evolution and perpetual growth. If you've ever wondered where the ceiling of human potential truly lies, today's story will give you an answer. Chapter 1. 4 a.m. in Los Angeles. April 13, 2016. The Staples Center, Los Angeles. 60 points. That's what a 38-year-old Kobe Bryant scored in the final game of his professional career. When the final buzzer sounded, as the entire arena stood roaring, as his teammates and opponents embraced a living legend, Kobe did something unexpected. There were no tears, no long, wistful looks back. Instead, he took the microphone and said just one thing that mattered. Mamba out. But before that, he had another message. I can't wait to see what comes next. What did that sentence portend? Few realized it at the time, but Kobe was about to begin the most important 20 years of his life. But before we can explore Kobe's second act, we have to go back to the very beginning of his first. We have to go back to the place that made him a legend. We have to go back to 4 a.m. in Los Angeles. In 1996, an 18-year-old Kobe Bryant came straight from high school to the NBA. He was skinny, raw, and at times almost clumsy. On his very first day of training camp, he got a brutal lesson in what the NBA was really about. Reports from that time say the veteran players on the team gave the high school kid no quarter. They welcomed him with punishing physical contact and a barrage of trash talk, making it clear that this was not a place where talent alone would guarantee success. That night, Kobe sat alone in his hotel room, staring at the young, uncertain face in the mirror. For the first time, the 18-year-old realized that talent was just the entry fee. To survive and thrive in the NBA, he would have to outwork everyone. The next morning at 4 a.m., while Los Angeles was still shrouded in darkness, the sound of a lone basketball echoed through the Lakers' training facility. A security guard pushed open the door and saw a slender figure practicing jump shots in the vast, empty gym. "Kid, what are you doing here so early?" the guard asked. "I want to be better," Kobe replied without even looking up. From that day on, 4 a.m. became synonymous with Kobe Bryant. For 20 years, regular season, playoffs, off-season, no matter how battered or exhausted his body was, Kobe would appear in the gym at 4 a.m. But here's a detail most people don't know. Kobe was not a natural early riser. In a 2003 interview, a reporter asked him, "Do you like getting up at 4 a.m.?" Kobe's answer was surprising. "I hate it," he said. "It's still dark, the whole world is asleep, and I'm the only one awake. But I know that when I'm training at 4 a.m., my opponent is still sleeping, and that's enough." That answer reveals the true essence of Kobe's spirit. It's not about doing it because you love it. It's about doing it because you believe in it. Fast forward to the 2008 Beijing Olympics. The USA Redeem team was stacked with superstars, but the team hadn't quite gelled. On the first day of training camp, as LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony were heading down for breakfast, they saw Kobe walking back in, drenched in sweat. He'd already finished a full workout. Dwayne Wade later recalled, "We all just looked at him, and then we silently went back to our rooms to put on our workout gear." Kobe didn't say a word, but with his actions, he defined professionalism. It's not about seeking approval from others. It's about driving yourself and your team to a higher standard. That standard not only helped them win an Olympic gold medal and him 2 more NBA championships, but it also guided him to the next chapter of his life. On April 13, 2016, when Kobe said, "I can't wait to see what comes next," he already had a plan taking shape in his mind. He was going to apply that same spirit to conquer entirely new worlds. But no one knew, not even Kobe himself, how that decision would change his destiny and change the world's perception of what a retired athlete could be. The 4 a.m. darkness of Los Angeles was waiting for its next miracle, but to create it, Kobe first had to shatter a perception that people, and even he himself, had about him. He had to decode the true meaning of the Mamba Mentality. Chapter 2. Redefining the Mamba Mentality. August 24, 2016. Los Angeles. It was day 134 of Kobe Bryant's retirement. Most people assumed he'd follow the typical superstar playbook, enjoy family life, make a few commercial appearances, and slowly fade from the public eye. Kobe chose a radically different path. That morning, he sat at his desk at home, a blank piece of paper in front of him. He was going to write a love letter to basketball. This would become the seed for the Oscar-winning film, Dear Basketball. But the process of writing that letter revealed Kobe's new, evolved understanding of the Mamba Mentality. Misconception number 1. The Mamba Mentality is about competition. For years, people believed the Mamba Mentality was about an unyielding will to win, to dominate, and defeat your opponent. But as Kobe wrote Dear Basketball, he had a different realization. "When I sat down to write that letter, I realized something," Kobe said in a 2017 interview. "I was never competing against anyone else. I was competing against who I was yesterday." This shift in perspective stemmed from a real-life story. Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals. Kobe had a terrible shooting night, going just 6 for 24, but the Lakers still won the championship. At the post-game press conference, a reporter questioned his performance. Facing his poor shooting, Kobe said candidly, "I wanted to win so badly, I was forcing it. But I told myself, even if my shot isn't falling, I can help the team on defense and with rebounding." He grabbed 15 rebounds in that game. In that moment, Kobe understood a profound lesson. True growth isn't always about carrying the team on your shoulders. Sometimes, it's about learning to help and trust your team in different ways when you're facing adversity. He knew that he was a more complete player than he was the season before, and that was a form of growth. Misconception number 2. The Mamba Mentality is about perfection. Many think the Mamba Mentality is about being perfect, about never accepting failure. Kobe's understanding was the exact opposite. In 2017, while creating the Wisenard series, his editor asked him, "What message do you want to convey with this book?" Kobe's reply was profound. "I want to teach kids that failure is the best teacher. I made countless clutch shots in my career, but I also missed even more. Every single failure brought me one step closer to success." This wasn't just a feel-good platitude. It was how he lived. On the eve of the 2008 Olympic gold medal game, Kobe was alone in his hotel room watching film. He wasn't watching his highlights. He was watching a reel of his mistakes. "Why are you watching that?" his teammate Carmelo Anthony asked, confused. "Because I want to know where I might make a mistake tomorrow," Kobe said, "so I can prepare a solution in advance." This attitude toward failure gave him a unique perspective in his post-retirement creative endeavors. Misconception number 3, the Mamba mentality is about talent. This is the biggest misunderstanding of all, that you need to be gifted to have the Mamba mentality. Kobe's story proves the opposite. In 2018, his investment firm was achieving staggering returns. People would ask him, "How did your talent in basketball transfer to investing?" Kobe's answer shattered everyone's assumptions. "I have zero talent in investing. My knowledge of business was almost non-existent. But I have one thing, a thirst to learn." He gave an example. In 2016, Kobe was considering investing in a sports drink company. He knew nothing about the industry. So he did something that shocked everyone. He spent 6 months reading over 100 books on the beverage industry, interviewed more than 50 industry experts, and even went to factories to observe the production lines firsthand. "Once I truly understood the industry," Kobe said, "I realized that company wasn't worth investing in. But those 6 months of learning gave me a deep understanding of the entire consumer goods sector." This is the real Mamba mentality. It's not built on talent, but on curiosity. It's not about instant success, but about continuous improvement. The true Mamba mentality, a process-oriented mindset. In 2018, after the Wisenard series was published, Kobe sat for an in-depth interview. The host asked him, "How would you define the Mamba mentality?" Kobe thought for a long time, then said something that would change many people's outlook on life. The Mamba mentality is a process-oriented mindset. It's not about the result, it's about the process. It's about waking up every day and asking yourself one question. Can I be a little bit better today than I was yesterday? He continued, "When you focus on the process, the results will take care of themselves. But if you only stare at the results, you'll never get there." The power of this philosophy was proven in every project he undertook after retirement. In September 2016, Kobe decided to adapt Dear Basketball into an animated short. But he faced a huge problem. He knew nothing about animation. Many advised him to simply hire a professional studio and put his name on it. Kobe chose another path, to learn it from scratch. He reached out to the legendary Disney animator Glenn Keane, the man behind characters like Ariel from The Little Mermaid and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, and asked him to teach him the fundamentals of animation. "Kobe, are you serious?" Keane asked. "Animation takes years to learn." "Then it'll take years," Kobe replied. "I have time." For the next 18 months, Kobe spent 30 hours a week learning animation. He studied storyboarding, character design, sound mixing. In the end, Dear Basketball didn't just win an Oscar. More importantly, through the process, Kobe discovered a deep passion for artistic creation he never knew he had. "I didn't do this to win an award," Kobe said at the Oscars. "I did it because I enjoyed the process of creation. The award is just a wonderful, unexpected bonus." This is the true meaning of the Mamba mentality, finding joy in the journey of growth, not just chasing the destination of success. Business investing, redefining learning. In 2017, Kobe's investment firm, Bryant, began making a name for itself in Silicon Valley. But Kobe's approach to investing was different. While most investors relied on data analytics and market trends, Kobe chose what he called immersive learning. For example, when considering an investment in a virtual reality company, he didn't just look at the financial statements. He spent a full week at the company, embedding himself in every part of the process, from product design to marketing. "I want to truly understand the business, not just look at the numbers on the surface," he explained. This method allowed him to achieve phenomenal success in the tech investment world in just a few years. By 2019, Bryant Stibble's portfolio was outperforming most traditional venture capital funds. More importantly, Kobe was redefining how a retired athlete could engage with the business world, not through simple endorsements, but through deep learning and genuine participation. These stories teach us that the Mamba mentality isn't some superhuman trait. It's a mindset that anyone can cultivate. The key is to understand it's not about talent, it's about choice. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's not about competition, it's about growth. Once you truly understand this, you'll see why Kobe was able to succeed in wildly different fields. Because he had mastered the underlying logic of success, focus on the process, enjoy the growth, and never ever stop. And that underlying logic was about to blossom in a field completely alien to him, in a way that would shock the world. Chapter 3: The Birth of Kobe, the Artist. March 4th, 2017. The Dolby Theater, Los Angeles. The 89th Academy Awards ceremony was underway. When the presenter announced the winner for Best Animated Short Film, the entire world was stunned. And the Oscar goes to Dear Basketball, Kobe Bryant. At that moment, Kobe rose from his seat. He didn't erupt in celebration or hug everyone around him like other winners. He walked calmly to the stage, as if he had already seen this moment in his mind. But behind that Oscar statuette was one of the most important transformations of Kobe's life. It started in November 2016. Kobe was in his home studio, the manuscript of Dear Basketball spread out before him. This love letter to the game was initially just a raw expression of his own feelings. But when he read it to his daughters, a simple question from his little girl Gianna changed everything. "Daddy, can you draw this story? Like in a Disney movie?" In that instant, Kobe realized he might have to challenge a completely new world, animation. The difficulty of that challenge was far beyond what he could have imagined. Lesson 1: The True Nature of Creation. Kobe contacted the Disney legend, Glenn Keane. The master who had brought Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin to life was initially perplexed by Kobe's request. "Kobe, are you sure you want to do animation? It's completely different from playing basketball." "I know," Kobe answered, "but I want to learn." At their first meeting, Glenn Keane gave Kobe a simple assignment: draw a bouncing ball. "That's it?" Kobe was almost dismissive. "Yes, that's it." Kobe went home and started drawing. An hour later, he realized he had no idea how to make a static circle feel like it had motion and weight. He drew all night. The trash can overflowed with crumpled paper, but every ball he drew looked flat, lifeless. The next day, a humbled Kobe went back to Keane. "I don't think I have any artistic talent." Glenn Keane smiled. "Kobe, do you know how long it took me to learn how to draw a bouncing ball? 3 months. And my first attempts were worse than yours." "So how did you stick with it?" "Because I understood something. Art isn't about talent, it's about observation. You need to observe how a ball bounces, feel its weight, understand the laws of its motion." Those words were an epiphany for Kobe. Relearning the art of observation. For the next month, Kobe did something that would seem insane to anyone else. He spent 4 hours a day just watching balls bounce. Basketballs, tennis balls, ping pong balls, soccer balls. He studied how balls of different materials behaved on different surfaces analyzing their trajectories through the air. He even used a high-speed camera to record the process, then analyzed it frame by frame. "I thought I knew the ball," Kobe later recalled. "I mean, I played with one for 20 years. But when I started looking at it with an artist's eye, I realized I knew almost nothing about it." A month later, when Kobe showed his new drawing of a bouncing ball to Glenn Keane, the master animator was blown away. "Kobe," he said, "this ball has life." "That's because I finally understand what it means to observe," Kobe replied. This process taught Kobe the essence of artistic creation. It's not about showing what you know, it's about expressing what you feel. In January 2017, production on Dear Basketball officially began. Kobe wasn't content to be just a producer. He was involved in every creative decision. During the storyboarding phase, Kobe proposed a bold idea: use the arc of the basketball itself to connect the entire story. "You mean let the ball itself be the narrative thread?" the director asked, puzzled. "Exactly," Kobe explained excitedly. "The ball isn't just a prop, it's a symbol of my life. From the first shot I took as a 6-year-old to the final shot at 38, the ball witnessed my entire journey." This creative choice gave the film its unique and powerful visual style. But the biggest challenge was yet to come. Kobe was determined to have an original score for Dear Basketball, and he aimed for the absolute pinnacle. He wanted the legendary film composer John Williams. When Kobe shared the deeply personal story behind the film with the maestro who scored Star Wars and Schindler's List, Williams was so moved that he agreed to compose the music. Kobe described to him in meticulous detail the emotional journey of his career, the innocent dreams of childhood, the fierce struggles of his prime, the glory of the peak, and the complex emotions of saying goodbye. John Williams captured these feelings perfectly, transforming them into a breathtaking symphony that became a storyteller in its own right. During the animation process, Kobe's perfectionism was on full display. There was a scene of a young Kobe practicing in the gym. The animators had drawn several versions, but Kobe wasn't satisfied. "The shooting form is wrong," Kobe pointed out. "In 1996, my left shoulder would dip slightly when I shot because my core strength wasn't fully developed yet." The animators thought the detail was too minor for anyone to notice. But Kobe insisted. Authentic details are the lifeblood of art. If we don't respect the truth, the work loses its soul. The team reanimated the scene, perfectly capturing the subtle imperfection of a young Kobe's jump shot. The meaning of Oscar night. On March 4, 2017, when Kobe took the Oscar stage, his words were unexpected. "Thank you to the Academy, but for me, the meaning of this award isn't the honor itself. It's the proof of one thing: human potential is limitless." In the audience, Glenn Keane applauded with tears in his eyes. He remembered the Kobe from 18 months prior, the one who couldn't even draw a bouncing ball. 18 months ago, I knew nothing about animation," Kobe said in a backstage interview. "But I learned the most important lesson. When you immerse yourself completely in something, you discover abilities you never imagined you had." The success of Dear Basketball brought Kobe more than an Oscar. It gave him an entirely new perspective on life. "Artistic creation allowed me to rediscover myself," Kobe said in a 2018 interview. "Basketball taught me what competition was. Art taught me what expression was." This change was reflected in his daily life. Kobe had always been a hyper-rational person, every decision based on data and logic. But creating art taught him to think emotionally with empathy. "Now, when I watch my daughters draw," he said, "I no longer focus on whether it looks realistic. I focus on what they are trying to express. That change made me a better father." The success of Dear Basketball showed Kobe the immense power of storytelling. In late 2017, he began to conceptualize his next project, a series of children's books. I want to use the power of stories to help children build the right values, he said. Not by preaching, but through experience. This idea would come to fruition in the final 2 years of his life, creating another miracle. But before that, Kobe had to prove himself in yet another completely different arena, the world of business and investing. Kobe's transformation from athlete to artist gives us a crucial insight. True learning isn't about memorizing knowledge. It's about cultivating new ways of thinking. When Kobe learned to draw a bouncing ball, he wasn't just learning a drawing technique. He was learning a new way to see the world. This new power of observation not only helped him become an artist, but also laid the foundation for his success in business. Because in any field, the key to success is the same: to see what others don't and to think in ways others can't. And that is an ability anyone can acquire through deliberate practice. You just need to have Kobe's courage, the courage to be a beginner again, to start from zero in an unfamiliar field. As Kobe himself said, the biggest risk is not taking one. And Kobe's biggest risk was about to be taking this new artistic way of thinking into a world that seemed its polar opposite, the cold, unforgiving world of numbers and logic. Chapter 4. The Birth of a Business Genius. His Investment Philosophy. December 2018. A coffee shop in Silicon Valley. A young entrepreneur sits nervously across from Kobe Bryant, about to give the most important pitch of his life. "Tell me, what problem does your product solve?" Kobe asked, getting straight to the point. "We've developed an AI fitness app that can—" "Stop," Kobe interrupted. "I didn't ask what your product is. I asked what problem it solves." The young man was stunned. He had prepared a beautiful PowerPoint deck, detailed data analysis, but he never expected such a simple, fundamental question. This scene reveals the unique core of Kobe's business acumen. In 2016, when Kobe decided to enter the world of investing, he faced a colossal challenge. Outside of the sports industry, he knew almost nothing about business. Most retired athletes would hire professional managers. Kobe chose another path, to learn it himself. "I want to understand the essence of business, not just be a passive investor," he said in a 2017 interview. The first thing he did was find the best possible mentors. In August 2016, Kobe went to Silicon Valley to meet with Chris Sacca, an early investor in Twitter and Uber. "Kobe, what kind of companies do you want to invest in?" Sacca asked. "I don't know," Kobe answered honestly. "I don't even know how to evaluate a company." Sacca was impressed by Kobe's honesty. He gave him a reading list. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen, Competitive Strategy by Michael Porter. "Read these, and then we'll talk about investing," Sacca said. Kobe finished the books in 2 months, but he didn't stop there. Kobe's method of learning once again embodied his Mamba mentality. It had to be total, deep, and without any shortcuts. He didn't just read books. He adopted an immersive learning methodology. Step 1. Theoretical study. Kobe read not only Sacca's list, but expanded it to over 50 business classics. He took notes, drew mind maps, with the same intensity he once used to study game film of his opponents. Step 2. Field research. He personally visited over 100 different companies, from startups to established corporations, from tech firms to traditional manufacturers. In every visit, he would ask the same core questions. What is your core competitive advantage? How do you create value? What is the biggest challenge you face? Step 3. Deep dialogue. Kobe engaged in deep conversations with over 50 top-tier investors, including Michael Moritz of Sequoia Capital and Mark Andreessen of Andreessen Horowitz. These conversations would often last from 8 p.m. until 2 in the morning. Kobe's intellectual curiosity was the strongest I've ever seen, Michael Moritz later recalled. He wasn't just listening, he was processing. Every question he asked cut right to the core of the matter. Step 4. Practical application. In early 2017, Kobe made his first angel investment, a startup making sports nutrition products. The investment was only $100,000, but Kobe spent 3 months deeply involved in the company's operations, participating in everything from product design to marketing strategy. Within 2 years, the company's valuation grew 20-fold. More importantly, through this process, Kobe found his own investment philosophy. Kobe's investment philosophy: find the intrinsic drive. In 2018, the Bryant Fund was officially launched, and Kobe introduced a unique investment criterion: intrinsic drive. I don't invest in companies chasing trends. I only invest in teams with an intrinsic drive, Kobe explained. What is intrinsic drive? Kobe gave an example. In 2018, he considered investing in a VR gaming company. The CEO's business plan was flawless. The market potential was huge, but Kobe turned it down. Why? His partner Jeff Stibble asked. Because when I asked the CEO why he wanted to make VR games, he said, it's the next big thing. But when I asked him when the last time he played a video game was, he said it was 3 years ago. Kobe elaborated, how can someone who doesn't even play games himself create a great game? He lacks the intrinsic drive. In contrast, the CEO of another gaming company, Bryant, invested and spent 2 hours every day playing his own company's games, not for work, but because he genuinely loved it. That company later became a unicorn in the mobile gaming space. In 2017, Kobe invested in the Players Tribune, a media platform founded by Derek Jeter. Many investors thought it was a poor investment, as traditional media was in decline. But Kobe saw something different. I'm not investing in a media company, Kobe said. I'm investing in an idea, letting athletes tell their own stories. He personally contributed to the platform's content strategy and even wrote several articles for it. Kobe discovered that when athletes communicated directly with their fans without a media filter, the impact was something traditional media could never replicate. That discovery would go on to influence the entire sports media industry. By 2019, Bryant had a major breakthrough in the tech sector. An AI company they had invested in was acquired by Google, yielding a return of over 50 times their initial investment. What was astounding was the level of technical understanding Kobe demonstrated during the process. Kobe's grasp of AI was better than many investors with tech backgrounds, the CTO of the AI company said. He could see the fundamental application of the technology, not get distracted by its surface-level complexity. How did he do it? The answer was the same familiar pattern: deep, immersive learning. To understand AI, Kobe spent 6 months learning the basics of programming and even enrolled in Stanford University's online machine learning course. I don't need to be a coder, Kobe said, but I need to understand what the coders are doing. There was another special part of Kobe's investment portfolio: women's sports. Starting in 2018, Bryant began heavily investing in companies related to women's sports, athletic apparel brands, media platforms, fitness apps. At the time, many questioned this decision, as the commercial value of women's sports was widely underestimated. But Kobe had a different perspective. Most investors see the women's sports market as it is today. I see it as it will be tomorrow. My daughter Gianna and her generation of girls are just as passionate about sports as boys are. This market is going to explode. Kobe was right. By 2019, the growth rate of the women's sporting goods market hit 20%, far surpassing the men's market. Bryant investments in this area yielded phenomenal returns. Business philosophy: create value, don't chase profit. In 2019, at an investor gathering, someone asked Kobe, "What is your investment strategy?" His answer was unexpected. "I don't chase profit. I chase value. When you truly create value for the world, profit will follow." He gave an example. Bryant invested in an educational technology company that provided online coding education for children from low-income families. From a purely commercial standpoint, it wasn't a great investment. The target users had limited ability to pay, and the market size was relatively small. But Kobe insisted on investing. His reason: this company is creating real value for society. They are giving underprivileged kids a chance to change their destiny. 2 years later, that company was acquired by Microsoft. The return was 30-fold. More importantly, the company had already helped over 100,000 children from disadvantaged backgrounds learn to code. So, what are the key takeaways from Kobe's investing journey for the average person? First, invest in what you understand. Kobe never invested in an industry he hadn't deeply studied. Second, focus on long-term value, not short-term profit. His investment horizon was typically 5 to 10 years. Third, invest in the person, not the project. Kobe said, "I'm investing in the founder's intrinsic drive, not the perfection of their business plan." Fourth, always maintain a learner's mindset. Even as a successful investor, Kobe remained a student, constantly absorbing new knowledge. These principles made Bryant one of the most respected investment funds in Silicon Valley, even before his death. But more importantly, Kobe proved through his actions that cross-domain success isn't about luck. It's about a method. At the core of that method was the familiar Mamba mentality: focus on the process, relentlessly improve, and never stop moving forward. By the end of 2019, Bryant managed assets worth over $2 billion, and the total valuation of its portfolio companies exceeded $10 billion. But for Kobe, these numbers weren't about proving his business prowess. They were about proving something far more important. A retired athlete should not be defined as a former athlete. They should be seen as a person with limitless potential. Kobe was using his own life to redefine the value and possibilities for every athlete who came after him. He had conquered the court, conquered the Oscars, and conquered Wall Street. It seemed his life was about to enter its most glorious chapter, but fate was preparing to teach the world in the most brutal way imaginable that above all these legendary identities, Kobe had one he cherished most, his most vulnerable and most precious. He was a father. Chapter 5. The Jersey That Was Never Worn. The night of January 25, 2020. The air in Los Angeles must have been ordinary, carrying that cool, dry quality of a California winter. Inside Kobe Bryant's home, there was likely a lingering warmth from dinner. On that night, he wasn't the strategic business titan or the visionary artist planning a cinematic universe. He was just a dad. Spread out on a table was likely not some grand business plan, but his daughter Gianna's game schedule for the next day. Maybe he was checking her jersey, her sneakers, or mentally rehearsing the tactics for the game. He was going to be her coach, driving her to the Mamba Sports Academy, a place he built for her and kids like her to play a game that was all hers. It was the prelude to an ordinary, love-filled weekend morning. He must have believed there would be countless more mornings like it, just like the countless jump shots he had taken, precise, certain, always under his control. He didn't know that sometimes fate is the cruelest tailor. Just as you are sewing the most beautiful garment for your most beloved person, it takes the dullest pair of scissors and, without warning, cuts right through the fabric and the thread. If life is a magnificent tapestry, Kobe's first half was woven with the brightest gold thread. The 4 years after his retirement were him carefully inlaying the soft, warm pearls of family. We all thought this masterpiece was heading towards a more profound, more complete kind of perfection. But we forget. Even the most beautiful tapestry has a single, fragile thread that can unravel it all. The thick fog that descended the next morning was that thread. It tore through the warmest promise between a father and a daughter. It shattered the jersey that belonged to Gianna, a jersey that would now never be soaked in the sweat of a game. What if we gave Kobe another 20 years? After knowing the truth, that question becomes sharper, like an ice-cold needle to the heart. We imagine the things that should have been. It's like a mother stroking a tiny sweater made for a child that was never born, trying in vain to feel a warmth that was never there. The Mamba Academy was the Eden he built with his own hands for his daughter and for all the kids who shared her dream. It was supposed to be the place that witnessed Gigi grow from a girl into a true Mambacita. He would have been on the sidelines, his gaze both the most demanding and the most loving, watching her every dribble, every shot. Today, that academy is a destination on a map we can never reach, a silent monument to grief. The movies he wanted to make, especially the one called Mamba Girls, weren't just a business IP. They were a long love letter to his daughter. He wanted to show the world that a girl's power could burn just as brightly as any boy's on the court. He should have walked the red carpet with Gianna at the premiere, watching her eyes sparkle with pride. Instead, the film's protagonist never even had the chance to grow up. The story ended before it began. And that $2 billion business empire? Its driving force had already shifted from proving myself to for them. He invested in women's sports. He supported female entrepreneurs, all because he was a father looking toward his daughter's future with the deepest hope. He wanted to pave a fairer, wider world for her and her generation. We always think that people like Kobe can control everything. He conquered injuries with obsession. He conquered the limits of talent with diligence. But we were all wrong. Life, in the end, is a fragile piece of paper. No matter how meticulously you plan, it can't withstand a sudden random gust of wind, especially when your entire world is tethered to an even more fragile life. That feeling of powerlessness is something that even the strongest Mamba mentality cannot defend against. On that day, the world's sorrow was no longer just for the fall of a legend. It was for the sudden departure of a father and the abrupt end of a daughter's dream. The essence of tragedy is precisely its lack of reason. It seeks out the most tender, the most hopeful, the most ordinary moments of love and obliterates them completely. Kobe's departure left a void, and the greatest regret may not be the unfinished business ventures or artistic visions. It's that he showed us, in real time, the complete evolution of a man, from an isolated killer on the court to a gentle husband and an all-in father. He had just arrived at this most complete, most beautiful stage of his life, and in an instant, fate took it all away. He was like the perfect guide who leads you to the entrance of a massive treasure vault, tells you that inside there is not just gold, but also home and love. And then, holding his daughter's hand, he disappears forever outside the door. So now, when we talk about the Mamba mentality, it has been forged by this tragedy into something deeper, more resolute. It's telling us this. Life is painfully uncertain, so you must seize every single second to live with a burning intensity, to love who you love, to chase what you dream, to become the person you want to be, not for some distant, uncertain outcome, but because the fiery process itself is the only true answer to the unknowable void, especially while you can still hold the ones you love. Kobe's story became a masterpiece that ended after the prologue. We were lucky enough to read that brilliant, breathtaking beginning, but for the rest of our lives, we can only imagine the magnificent chapters that were meant to follow. He's gone. But that spirit, defiant, relentless, and unwilling to bow to fate, remains in this world like a long, echoing note. Mamba out, but Mamba forever. Now, it's our turn to pick up the pen and finish writing our own book. Thank you for being here. I'm Fanko, and this is Fanko Decodes, where we decode the wisdom of legendary lives. If Kobe's story gave you even a spark of strength, Don't forget to support the channel with a like and subscribe for more journeys into the heart of greatness. I'll see you in the next one.